What y'all mean Brock Purdy ain't worth that money? Yes, he is. He's worth that money. He's worth every penny of that money. And I'm going to tell you why here on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It's a fact. It is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. And we thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On NFL daily show here in the barbershop. And of course, it is Monday, and that means Julian Council will be joining me to run down all of the latest things in the NFL, at least the things that we created here as the latest things. And we'll get to those very, very soon. I got to let you know that wherever you get your podcast, make sure you tap into that location. Whether you watch or listen, we will be there each and every time. So make sure you tap into Locked On NFL. Shout out to the everydayers. We appreciate you. And hopefully we'll give the new people a reason to come back and become an everydayer. All right, we're going to end up talking about the Pats and the Packers. My man Peter Bukowski has another solution for the Green Bay Packers to get over the hump. We'll see if he's spot on with that. And right smack in the middle of the show, we're going to talk about a draft lottery in the NFL. No, thank you. We don't need that. But we're going to start the show talking about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy gets paid, and I think he is worth every single cent. Come on, Julian Council. Tell me why I'm wrong if you're going to do that.
I don't think you're wrong at all. I think this is an awesome story for Brock Purdy, who we all know is Mr. Irrelevant, the final pick of his draft class. And now he's gone on to lead San Francisco to the Super Bowl. He now is getting a massive contract. And I know people are going to look at him and you're going to see his size, the lack of arm strength, and wonder, is he really worth all that money? But this is a team game. And he plays the most important position in this team game and has played it at a high level and done everything that organization has asked him to do. So why not reward him with this kind of deal, especially when he's only 25 and can continue with Kyle Shanahan to keep San Francisco, provided that they don't have a rash of injuries every single year atop the NFC.
I'm going to listen to the guys from Locked On 49ers, Peacock, and, of course, my man Crockett. Now, listen, when we come back, I'm going to tell you why he's worth this money. And I'm going to tell you why the person that gave him the money needs to thank his lucky stars for him, or he wouldn't even be having a job right now. We'll talk about that as soon as we hear from the fellas at Locked On 49ers.
Croc, 5 years, $265 million, $53 million per year for Mr. Irrelevant. 3 short years ago, Brock Purdy was the last pick in the NFL draft, and now he's got a $265 million contract, 5-year extension after this year. So that means 6 total years still that Brock Purdy will be under contract with the San Francisco 49ers if everything goes well. And 2030. He's your San Francisco 49ers quarterback potentially until 2030. And who knows, maybe there's another extension that's done before that contract even runs out. Croc, what do you think? $53 million per year, 5 years, $265 million. What were your initial impressions?
Now, I want to say, first, man, just great job by Brock Purdy, being the last pick in the NFL draft. Damn near undrafted, right? And defying all odds, a couple guys had to get injured for him to play. Trey Lance, number 3 overall pick. Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy who went to multiple conference championship games and a Super Bowl for the 49ers, right? So he had to get those guys kind of out the way. And then he played at a level that made this not only a conversation, but kind of the expectation of him taking over this franchise.
I totally agree with them, man. And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here for a reason, because I know everybody's going to start the whole game manager thing all over again, right? At some point, we have to actually pay people for what they do. You can't, okay, he played well. Why are we still looking at him like he's a draft prospect? Why are we still talking about where he was picked unless it's in a celebratory way like Crocky just did? People continue to want to go by their draft evaluations. I'm telling you, mock drafts got people in a stranglehold these days, man. And if anything goes differently than those things and those draft reports, And for the most part, none of those people have ever worked in a front office. Folks seem like they can't accept it. Why can't you accept it? And I'm going to tell you right now, not taking Patrick Mahomes and taking Solomon Thomas, in hindsight, that's egregious. And a lot of people won't talk about it. But okay, so you can say, well, nobody knew Patrick was going to be that good. Okay, so then you trade 3 first-round picks for another guy. If you didn't think they were hurting about Patrick Mahomes not being a 49er, why did they trade all of those picks for another unknown commodity? They did it. That's enough to get you fired. But you know why you didn't get fired? Because Mr. Irrelevant came in and he played so well, took you back to the Super Bowl and had you in the playoffs that people forgot you actually did that stupid thing.
Yeah, I'd also say that the roster construction was so high level, aside from maybe missing out on Mahomes, if that was even on their radar back then. And of course, trading up to get Trey Lance and that not working out, to the point where like they were still winning games with Jimmy G. They had gone to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. It was already like a championship caliber roster. They just wanted to insert that quarterback in there that could take them to the next level, and that could potentially down the road allow them to not always have to be outstanding on the defensive line, outstanding on the offensive line, which San Francisco has been since that marriage of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, since they've gotten that thing going. But yeah, I mean, Purdy's been a good player. And eventually you got to pay these guys, as you mentioned. Right. And I don't really have a problem with this. I look at it. There's quarterbacks out in this league who have gotten this kind of contract who I certainly haven't played that well. Like Trevor Lawrence is one down there in Jacksonville. Like I still think Trevor can be a good player, but I mean, has Trevor played nearly as well as Brock Purdy has played in his couple of seasons in the NFL? No. I mean, is it a crazy amount of money for Brock Purdy? Certainly, but this is the going rate for a franchise quarterback. And when you take your team to the Super Bowl and you continue to play at the level he's played at, like this is the kind of money that you get. It's not just that position. Like look at every single position, guys that you don't think are maybe that good, and they're getting paid. Like J.C. Horn here in Carolina was the highest paid defensive back in the history of the NFL for a week. I think he's a damn good player, but man, being the highest paid, like I don't think anyone saw that. And then wait 1 week and Derek Stingley Jr. became the highest paid defensive back. So yeah, Purdy has this big contract. Just give it some time and somebody else will have a bigger deal than Brock Purdy, and it won't be that big of a deal. No pun intended when looking at this, but I mean, a good move for San Francisco. Great for Brock Purdy. I just don't really see how there could be any sort of controversy and argument over this, especially considering everything he's been able to do for them since he's taken over that starting job.
Tell you what it is. Just the damn mock drafts. I'm telling you, it's got these people in the headlock, dude. And it doesn't even matter what they do. Could be a Hall of Famer. People still gonna talk about the mock draft. I'm telling you. And the other thing is this: we saw them go to the Super Bowl with him. We also saw them go and play Philly without him the year before, and they got whipsawed. I mean, it wasn't even close. And those players were like, wait till we get our quarterback back.
Yeah, didn't they change the rules because of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, what else does he have to do for you to get for him to be paid? He can't help that he's small and doesn't fit the criteria that everybody thinks he should. Drew Brees didn't either. He got paid. Come on, man. Y'all got to stop this.
I mean, there's so many like guys who fit the profile who just could not play. I mean, in one of them, we talk about mock drafts. Like that was Sam Darnold. He had a great year last year, and there was plenty of people like Daniel Jeremiah and Dan Orlovsky who just could not get off of that. And, you know, he played well last year until it mattered most. And when it's mattered, like Purdy's the reason they lost that Super Bowl. He stood up and played well when they needed him to. So it is funny to me when you look at guys like Ryan Mount was one of those dudes who was just the perfect kind of like quarterback prospect, just that size. There's been plenty of those dudes with the big arm, the big size, who just could not play the position, but Brock Purdy can.
No doubt about it. Draft lottery. The people in Dallas are happy in the NFL, in the NBA, rather, right? It's NBA playoff time. We got the figure. We don't need that foolishness in the National Football League, do we? Well, we'll talk about it in just a second here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Skylight. Say goodbye to sticky notes, scribbled plans on the fridge, and overlapping calendar invites. The Skylight Calendar is here to bring clarity to the chaos and help families stay organized without the stress. This sleek digital display syncs with your existing calendars, Google, Apple, Outlook, and more, making it simple to track appointments, practices, dinners, and reminders all in one easy-to-see place. I'm telling you, man, I actually need this because I overbook all the time. I should have had this when I was a barber because it really would have helped me with my schedule. I'm going to tell you what you need to do right now. Skylight is offering, for our listeners, they're offering $30 off their 15-inch calendars by going to skylight.com. Well, skylightcal.com/NFL. Skylightcal.com/NFL for $30 off your 15-inch calendar. That is SKYLIGHTCAL.com/NFL. All right, here with my man Julian Council here on a Monday on Locked On NFL. We got to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. We ain't gonna talk about George Pickens. We ain't gonna talk about CeeDee Lamb, even though CD says that. I almost talked about this today too. He says ain't no one. What is he? Ain't no A receiver. We're both number ones. I'm like, okay, we're gonna see how that works out during the year. Yeah, dude was getting 150 targets and was still complaining. And now you ain't gonna complain because you got another dude on the other side. Man, get out of here. We almost changed subjects right now, but we're gonna stick to it. The boys at Locked On Cowboys, since the Dallas Mavericks won the rights to draft Cooper Flag from Tobacco Road, they talked about the draft lottery in the NFL. Check this out.
I hate the draft lottery. I just think that and listen, I think as a long-suffering Mavs fan, or you know, as much as a Mavs fan as I am, I could say without a doubt that before this year, the draft lottery did the Mavericks fans absolutely no favors.
They've never moved up in their franchise history.
Literally no favors. So, yeah, I do think that which, you know, actually you could look at it one of two ways. You could look at it like, well, that the Mavs didn't, you know, benefit from this system at all. But you could also look at it like, well, it also didn't have much of an effect on the Mavericks either. So it's not like a negative effect so much as anything. It's just a neutral effect.
The NFL does not have a problem with tanking the way the NBA does, where it can be so egregious in the NBA. In the NFL, you're trying to win every single week. And because careers are so short, players have every incentive possible to go out and play as hard as possible.
There ain't no tanking in the NFL, man. Let me explain why, Julian. Because you're actually getting punched in the face. How can you tank when there's a car accident happening every 35 seconds? Yeah. And you might be involved in it, right? That's why. But in the NFL, the NBA, oh, please. You got load management. You got dudes sitting around, and one player makes a bigger difference in the NBA than one player makes a difference in the NFL. You don't need no draft lottery.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at how many guys are playing up until like their late 30s in the NBA. And the NFL, it's not for long. It's always been that. Now, I roll my eyes at Landon, a long-suffering Mavs fan. They were in the NBA Finals last year. They won a championship with Dirk. I'm a Hornets fan. That's long-suffering. We've never won a 7-game series. The last time we won a playoff series was 2002. That same summer, the team went down to New Orleans and left town. Are you kidding me? Like that's just ridiculous. Oh my God, we lost Luka. Shut up. I don't want to hear anything about that, Mavs fans. Get out of here with that nonsense. I mean, I hate the lottery because I'm a Hornets fan, and it's never done.
You should hate it. You should hate the lottery.
We went 7-59, the worst win percentage in the history of the NBA, and the league-owned team that left Charlotte to go to New Orleans got Anthony Davis, and we didn't. So no, I hate the lottery. Clearly, it's all rigged. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't care.
Did you hear what Shaq said?
What?
Shaq actually was on a podcast. I saw it right before we started the show. Shaq says around March, before the draft, he saw David Stern, and David Stern came up to him and, hey, looking forward to you playing in the NBA and all of this. Pulled him to the side and say, where you want to play, cold weather or hot weather? And then all of a sudden, Shaq said warm weather, and then Orlando ends up with the number one pick.
I mean, LeBron was on McAfee talking about, oh, I just happened to end up in Cleveland.
Yeah,
come on now.
But see, these dudes are hustling backwards. Let me explain something to you. Both of them, if that's true, their careers were helped because they pushed them to Orlando. That was an easier way to get them to Los Angeles, right? Ain't nobody what the Magic fans and their entire legacy gonna get mad at you. Who cares? They don't care. So no. Here's the thing. Y'all benefited greatly from it, LeBron and Shaq. Why y'all running your mouth and cutting the water off for everybody else, especially now that that betting on games is legal? You can't.
Well, someone needs to tell the truth. Someone needs to tell the truth, and I appreciate both of them being truth sayers and letting us know about the crooked NBA.
They ain't trying to save the league. They just running their mouth for clout after they already got their pockets filled. That's what I'm talking about.
That's fine. As far as the NFL draft lottery, I'm not a fan of the idea.
No.
The only thing about it that I would actually kind of like is that fans couldn't sit here and be like, well, I hope we lose out so we can get that top pick. I hate that, especially covering a team where fans, every time they start off 0-2, are crying. I mean, they wanted football. They were desperate for it. Season get here and like, oh, well, let's just think about the draft. Nah, I hate that. I hate how people like immediately, as soon as their team starts playing bad, think about the draft and think about their top pick. Nah, I would rather the team that wins a Super Bowl get the number one pick, just so those losing teams could not have their fan bases out here just thinking about what's going to happen at the end of April instead of actually enjoying the game. So that would be the only good thing about a draft lottery, is getting rid of that disgusting behavior from fans out there when there's actually games being played out there on the field. Like, I absolutely abhor that every single year, and people do that. Oh, let's get the number one pick. Cool. Like, great. That gives you hope, but that's just so lame to me. Try to win games.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is now this is where you and I are in alignment again, because I'm going to go back to something I said in segment 1. I'm telling you, the NFL draft got people out here looking crazy, man. They got regular fans looking like crackheads in September when they're already starting. Somebody did a mock draft just the other day, Julian.
It's crazy.
They did it just the other day. It's crazy. Speaking of draft, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. They actually drafted 2 quarterbacks in maybe the wrong order. My man Spencer German says he owes both of them on the bench this year, and Cleveland doesn't play either one of them. That means they're going to play Kenny Pickett. What's the other kid? Joe Flacco. Or maybe. Can they? Will they? They ain't playing Deshaun Watson this year.
He's not going to be healthy.
Yeah. Check out Spencer German here from Locked On Browns.
Keep Shador Sanders and Dylan Gabriel as far away from the field for the first 6 games of the Browns season. That's right, the schedule's here, and if you want to go to any of these games this year, be sure to use our friends at Game Time to get your tickets. The first 6 games, though, a gauntlet for the Browns. They open up with Joe Burrow at home, which is never going to be easy. Then you go on the road to Baltimore in week 2. You get 5 straight playoff games. Baltimore, then at home against the Packers, at Detroit, in London against the Vikings, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers, your arch rival in the division. That is quite the test to open up this season. And then things mellow out a little bit. But this kind of does, I think, set the bar for where you could potentially see a quarterback change, especially if you get off to a slow start. And so give me Joe Flacco, give me Kenny Pickett, one of those 2 to open the season, and then pivot to a rookie, because that first stretch is quite a gauntlet. In the meantime, be sure to download the Game Time app, use code SCHEDULE for $20 off your first purchase at Game Time. We'll talk more about the schedule on the latest episode of Locked On Browns.
Yeah, Cleveland's gonna have a hard time this year, brother. I've been trying to figure out what they could look like on the field, and this draft they took 2 running backs and 2 quarterbacks with the picks. They got extra picks and they used them on those guys as opposed to actually getting some defensive help, actually helping themselves out in the trenches. This is what they decided to do. I think this is a lame duck season, and Coach Stefanski is gonna get fired.
Yeah, I don't really know how this is on him. I mean, Deshaun
Watson. It's not,
yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. They're going to run him. That's the way they do it, man.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I don't think this is going to be a guy who's going to be in a situation where another team's not going to want to hire him in like a year time, maybe even next hiring cycle. If that's how things do play out for him, he'd probably be better suited sitting out for a season, collecting that check and then figuring out the right spot for him, especially. Yeah, I mean, look at their schedule. I got to pull it up here. They get that bye in week 9. Interesting that they are going to play in London, then have to come back and then play on the road against Pittsburgh instead of having that early bye, which I'm sure they probably would prefer to have a mid-season bye opposed to having one there in week 6. But that might be the time after week 9. Week 10, you're on the road against the Jets. They're not going to be very good either. That could be the time that they want to go to either one of those quarterbacks. It's got to be the right opportunity. If they feel like Shador's ready or Dylan Gabriel's ready, then go to him when you think it's right. But if it's all about trying to save your job that doesn't do Kevin Stefanski or anybody in that organization any good. And I don't love owners intervening. But certainly if you're the Haslams, if you look at it, things aren't going great. Like, don't have this coach. You tell them, like, look, man, we'll evaluate everything after the season. You don't need to throw out this quarterback in there just to try to save your bacon. Like, if you're going to make it, you're going to make it. If you're not, you're not. Don't throw these guys out there in a situation. We'll see. I'm not excited about Cleveland at all and what they got going on at quarterback. It's just,
yeah.
I mean, we talk with the Browns like every Monday. I'm like, why? Like, what is it? It's just like, it's just, I get the Shador of it all, but man, I got nothing for you. Cleveland's going to stink. So, what's there to say?
Hold on, man. It's totally unscripted, man. But you know what? It's just, sometimes you can just, I learned how to do this by talking about bad Jaguar teams. So that's why I'm good at picking topics for bad teams, because I had to do it for so long. Speaking of bad teams, we're about to talk about the Patriots at the top of segment 3 here on Locked On NFL. All right, back to talking about bad teams here on Locked On NFL, because Julie and I actually covered some bad teams, right? So, I mean, we're kind of used to it, but we're just going to go with the bit here. I actually think the Patriots are going to be a lot better. They're going to be a lot better because they're going to be better coached. They're also going to have better talent, man. It's not just Stephon Diggs. It's also Mac Hollins, and it's also the 2 receivers they drafted last year. They're going to be a little bit better. I can't believe I'm talking about wide receivers with Mike Vrabel being their coach. Listen to my man Nick Cattles talk about the Patriots and their hope for this season.
I am sure that Pro Football Focus gave the Patriots offseason an A+. Can't get better than that. In the Patriots' tires, they are being pumped everywhere. You look locally, you look nationally, the expectations continue to grow for a football team that won only 4 games last season after winning, you guessed it, only 4 games in 2023. But let's talk about some of these expectations, and let's talk about some of the challenges that this team will face, some of the obstacles that could get in the way of this team reaching its full potential. Greg Bedard at Boston Sports Journal wrote this recently. What are my expectations for this team? If the coaching staff is as good as we think it is, and is a huge improvement over the past couple of seasons, then I do expect the Patriots to challenge for a postseason spot.
Wow.
All right, something you've seen that I expect to see this year, but I'm not an authority on it because I haven't seen it, and that is when your expectations are very low and they bring in a new coach, and then maybe off to a slow start, but then you actually start to see the change. And Carolina saw that with Canales. Do you think there could be something similar going on with the Patriots?
No, I wouldn't say apples to apples, because Vrabel is already, he's been the number 1 seed in the AFC. He's taken teams to an AFC title game. So, like, he's already been a proven head coach, which Dave Canales still to this point is not that, and was not that when Carolina hired him. Like, they were still taking, I mean, no one else interviewed him in the NFL. Like, no one else interviewed Dave Canales. No one else wanted him as their head coach. And David Tepper kind of had to settle there. But I do think so far it's worked out to a decent level. They still went 5-12 last season. Let's not forget that. But Mike Vrabel was the best head coach on the market. We all knew that. And for him to end up New England was massive for Robert Kraft, who, at his age, they want to still find a way to win another Lombardi trophy. I think they have the quarterback in Drake May who can do that for them in due time. I question the offensive line still. And like Will Campbell, there's all the questions about his arm length, whether he could play left tackle or not in the league. We will see. The rest of the offensive line still a question mark. And you look at the receiving talent. I mean, I don't know how excited I am about Stephon Diggs at this point in time in his career, coming off an ACL. I don't really love Kayshon Boutte. I mean, Jalen Polk was kind of a disappointment last season. I don't think they have nearly enough for Drake. And now Drake can drag some bums. Yeah, he's done it before. Had to do it in Chapel Hill for a lot, but he had better. He had Josh Downs. Is there a single receiver as good as Josh Downs in that Patriots wide receiver room? I guess Stephon Diggs, if he's right, but other than that, no. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. I do buy Braves, I do buy what they were able to do defensively, what they've added there, like with Milton Williams. I think that obviously was a big move for them. They will be a better football team. I don't know if I'm buying New England as contending for like an AFC. Like the AFC is so difficult. You're telling me that team is going to was still, I believe, are a lot of questions going to be able to contend just because they hired Mike Vrabel and they did have some nice moves this offseason. I don't see it right now. Maybe next year 3, especially with Drake, that would make sense. But this fall, hey, they get to 7 wins. Feel good about that, but that's not going to be contending for a playoff spot in the AFC.
And I still see them as the type of team that will split with the Jets and the Dolphins, not sweep them. Because if they sweep the Jets and the Dolphins, they'll win more games than just those two, with those two people on the schedule than they won all of last season. So that can help them get to that 7 or 8 win threshold. Another team that is looking to take a step up is the Green Bay Packers. This one is a little perplexing for me, man, because when I sit and look at Green Bay and try to figure out what's wrong with them, it keeps going back to the quarterback. But Peter Bukowski and everybody else, I don't think anybody else really feels that way because I think their team is really, really good all around. But for some reason, we just keep trying to make Jordan Love be better than he really, really is. I know Peter will disagree. Listen to Peter from Locked On Packers talk about the Green Bay offense needing to play faster.
The Packers are still playing too slow last year, 24th in neutral pace and 25th in plays. They were slow with Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers wanted to be slow. When they went to Jordan Love, I expected more tempo, and what I underestimated was the extent to which the youth of the Packers would impact the decision to play either fast or slow. And I just don't think that team was ready to make all the adjustments, all the calls on the fly. Now, part of that is a lot of run game last year. They're protecting Jordan Love. Jordan Love can't move as well, so that may be part of it too. That you don't want Jordan Love jogging to every snap because he's compromised physically. The problem with that argument is they were slow in 2023 and in 2022 and 2021 and 2020. But when you watch the Lions, they beat teams because they use tempo. The Eagles beat teams because they use tempo. When you have the inferior team, you want to shorten the game because what you're doing is you're introducing variance. The thing is, a good team on balance would like to see more plays because if you're better, wouldn't you rather have 100 plays than 80? Because you're magnifying your advantage. The more plays you run, the more you can magnify your advantage on the other team. Against the team.
He makes some really, really, really good points. I think sometimes when you're the better team, you want to shorten the game, limit opportunities. If there's going to be 10 punches thrown, I'm going to land 7 of them and you won't, we'll win. That's just, it's just a little bit of a different philosophy. I think for me, time of possession is key. One of the things you do with time of possession is you bleed that clock down every single time while you have the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it puts pressure on you as well if you're going to try to go slow. And I mean, it gives your opponent not that many opportunities. And, you know, if your opponent's not as good as you, they're able to capitalize on those opportunities, then it makes it a closer game. Whereas, I mean, there's more possessions, you're a better team, like that's more opportunities for you and still more for your opponent. But if they're not that great, I see it differently. But I mean, I'm interested to hear a tempo conversation in the NFL. Like, NFL teams don't run 80, 100 plays. I mean, they run like, 50, 60 plays? Like in 60, college. 62, yeah, right, I mean, in college, like we're talking like running like 80, 90. Like I understand the tempo when it comes to that. But the NFL, I mean, everyone goes pretty slow, comparatively speaking, to the, you know, what we see on Saturdays. So I don't know what to think of that at all. It's interesting outlook that Peter has there. That's certainly a great conversation for all the Packer fans out there, but probably not something that I'm really thinking too much about whenever watching these games. Like, oh, are they moving quick enough? I just think that the Lions just were so creative, you know, when you look at their play calling up in Johnson and the fact that, yes, I mean, Jared Goff was like had it down pat and he was also healthy. So I think there has to be something there with Jordan Love. Maybe if they talk about with Aaron Rodgers that they weren't very fast. And yes, that's how Aaron wanted to go about things, but I mean, that's Matt LaFleur who's been calling the plays. You got to look at Tennessee when he called the plays. Wasn't like that Tennessee was at some breakneck speed either. Maybe that's just what the play caller wants to do. They'll be fine this year, Green Bay. I mean, as long as Jordan Love is able to be healthy this year, they add another receiver, Matthew Golden. And I found it funny that apparently, what's the dude's name? I guess he's a Michigan State guy. I can't remember his name, but he apparently had to be like told last week, oh yeah, you're still our number one guy. which is funny.
You're talking about Reed. Yeah.
Yeah. Jaden Reed. I was like,
Mhm.
really? We're Jaden Reed, you're like third year in the league. We're having a conversation of being assured you're still the top dog in that receiver room. Like that's what your focus is at this point in time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It for me, man, it just comes down to playing complementary football. I think sometimes you slow it down too because you don't want your defense on the field all day. And also Detroit. I will tell you this. I didn't realize they were that low in plays. That's wild to me for them to be a good team and to actually throw the ball around like that and still be where they are on that list. So kudos to Peter for bringing that up. But my thing is Detroit. You know why Detroit goes fast? Because they break the huddle trying to break your face in, and they just can't. They ain't giving you a break, man. They're using 2 running backs and their receivers. Even Amon-Ra St. Brown plays like a running back.
Mm-hmm.
They can't wait to punch you in your mouth, and they do that because there's a cumulative effect. So basically, maybe one of the reasons why Green Bay doesn't go fast is because they don't punch people in the mouth enough, and they're not physical. And we're just trying to figure out more ways to make Jordan Love a 40 attempt quarterback to see if he can put these numbers up, and maybe that'll get him to the championship. I'll tell you what, if you want to know more about Green Bay, any team, make sure you check out Locked On NFL Scouting with hosts Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino, because they break every single roster down. And y'all get ready to do these fantasy drafts. You better know the role that all of your guys are going to be playing. And Locked On NFL Scouting will definitely help you become one of the smartest fans in the National Football League. So make sure you check it out. Also, check out Locked On Panthers with Julian Council. He's about to go tackle today, and I'm going to tackle the Jaguars, since we talk about losing teams all the time here on Locked On NFL on Monday. But make sure you check out Julian. He does great work with the Panthers, one of the best in the business. All right, we'll see you next time here on Locked On NFL.